Hello everyone and welcome to the Mylio Photos coffee break. My name is Angela Andrew and I'm a product evangelist for Mylio. That means that I'm here to answer your questions and help you be successful with the software. Today we're going to be talking about how to use Mylio Photos to keep your memories safe. So we're going to talk through some of the basics of backing up and why you might want to do this. Now, I've been keeping a really close eye on our pre-poll that Lori launched for us here at the beginning. A lot of you have already answered. And the one that I'm paying most attention to today is how many of you have vaults. So I noticed that most of you have at least 2 vaults, which is awesome. That's what we're going for. And that there's a handful of you who don't have any. So today is especially for you to understand why it's important to keep your stuff backed up and have your stuff in more than one place. So let's go ahead and jump into the presentation for today and get started. So the reason we talk about backing up is, what would you do if you lost everything? There's so many different scenarios and things that can happen that could cause your precious memories, all of your digital media, to be lost. At Mylio, we really want to help you safeguard against that and make sure that you're able to protect your stuff. So if anything happened to your devices, you could potentially lose all of your most important things. And we're going to show you today some ways that you can go about making sure that doesn't happen. So making sure you back up is very, very important, and protecting all of those things that are really important to you. And today we're going to be focusing in on the things that are in your Mylio Photos library, like your photos, your videos, and your documents that Mylio can sync and can read. But this also applies to everything on your computer, because there's a lot more on your computers and your devices than just your pictures. Now, this, for a lot of us, that's our most important stuff. Back in the days of having paper photo albums, one of those things that you grab if your house is on fire when you're running out of your house is going to be those photo albums. You're going to get your kids, your pets out, and then you're going to grab those photo albums. In today's day and age, we might want to grab our computers or external hard drives. So that's something to think about, and ways that we can protect, in those worst case scenarios, all of those really important things. So let's first talk about what a backup is. It's a copy of your important files, and you should have at least 2 of them and keep one of those places somewhere safe. So we're going to talk about some strategies of how you can make that happen. But the last thing you want to do is have those important things in only one place, because if something happens to that hard drive or that computer or that phone, those memories are gone. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. As somebody who has been a victim of data loss, I can tell you it's awful, and it can be very expensive to do like hard drive recovery, things like that. It can be successful. Usually things come back in a mess that you have to kind of go back and recreate. And it can be very, very costly. And that's if you are able to get anything back at all, because depending on the type of loss that you have, some of those things can't be recovered. So I was very lucky when I had a major data loss incident years ago. It's made me very paranoid about making sure my stuff is backed up. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this with you. I was lucky, like I said, I got my stuff back. It was a mess. It took a while to reorganize everything, but I did get it back. I've known lots of people who have lost all sorts of stuff, and I don't want that to happen to you. So let's talk about some of the stats of why this is important, because a lot of people think, well, it's never happened to me. It can't really be that common. But it is. So here are a few stats. 54% of Americans who own a computer have reported losing data. 46% had an internal external hard drive crash. And, you know, things happen when synced or shared drives are deleted. 45% lost data that way. So this is really very common. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, consider yourself very lucky, because a lot of us have had this happen, have been touched by this. And like I said, I want to make sure this doesn't happen to you. So here are the things that can cause lost data. The first one is software corruption. So something on your computer goes sideways. It causes all those little ones and zeros inside your machine to go haywire, and stuff gets deleted and wiped out. There can also be a local disaster. We're talking your house on fire, there's a flood, all of those types of natural disasters that are possible. And it seems like pretty frequent these days that I'm seeing on the news. Somebody's had a house fire, or there's been a hurricane or something like that. So that can cause data loss. You also have things like ransomware and malware attacks, where somebody gets a hold of your computer, maybe you click on a wrong link, somebody gets your data, and then they hold it hostage. That's pretty terrifying. It happened to one of my family members. I don't want to see anybody go through that. Hard drive failure, that's what hit me. I had a hard drive where everything was stored and I wasn't backing up because I was young and silly. So hard drive failure, it happens. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's just a matter of when. I find personally that hard drives typically have like a 3 to 5 year lifespan if they're constructed well and had good quality control. If something's going to fail early, it's usually going to be within those first few months that you have it. Otherwise, you're probably going to have a pretty decent lifespan. But I like to say if you're going to get a new computer, get new drives at the same time, because all of those things do have a finite life. They can last much longer, but I wouldn't make that your only line of defense. You also have things like theft, whether that's somebody stealing your cell phone because you looked the other way and you had it sitting on a table at a restaurant, or God forbid somebody breaks into your home. And then there's also things like human error, where we accidentally delete something we weren't supposed to. So the things that Mylio can help you with is all of this stuff except human error. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but Mylio can help you with all of these other things and make sure that your media is taken care of. Now, the human error one, I crossed that out because when you delete something in Mylio, it deletes it from all of your devices. So it is something that can be prone to human error. I have seen people accidentally delete things in Mylio. One of the things I'm really happy to announce is that in this next coming version, we actually have an updated dialog that says, actually, it's instead of having it be in the description that you're deleting from all your devices, it actually says you have to click a button that confirms that. So we really want to make sure that you're not doing something accidentally. In addition to, if you delete something in Mylio and you didn't mean to, what it does then is it goes to your system trash. So typically you can go to your system trash and restore it to its original location that way. Now, if you clean out that system trash, it could possibly be gone. So it's something to go ahead and think about. And there are other system-wide backups that you can consider to protect against those kinds of things. So in order to back your things up in Mylio, we have a thing called a vault. And hopefully most of you here know what that is. I don't see anybody indicating in the survey of what is a vault, but just so everyone's clear, it is a device that you designate to hold your entire library. This is all of your original quality files, all of your metadata, and the database that underlies Mylio that helps keep everything talking to each other. Every device that you have as a vault has a complete copy of all of these things, which is what makes these so powerful. And you can assign many types of devices to be a vault. It doesn't have to be an external hard drive, but that's the most common. So let's go ahead and talk a bit here about 3-2-1 backup. This is the concept of having 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different kinds of media, with one of them off-site. So let's talk about how this can be done with Mylio. With your local vault options, I typically recommend people have at least 2 of these. This is going to be your local external hard drives. This could be a computer if you have a ton of storage space. This could be direct attached RAID storage, or a NAS that sits in your office. So some of these options, so for most people, using an HDD, which is a traditional hard drive, they're the least expensive. They come in really pretty big sizes, I think up to 20 terabytes these days. SSDs are smaller, better portable, but they're more expensive and they don't come in as large as sizes. But for most people, these options here, the HDD or SSD, are going to be the most common and the best option for most people. And like I said, I recommend having 2 vaults that are here in your local place. If you have a very, very large library, there are also multi-drive direct attached storage units that you can get where you can pop multiple drives in there, and it creates essentially a very large drive. And those are direct attached. Those make excellent vaults if you've got a massive library. And these don't take nearly as much technical setup as a NAS. Now, a NAS is great. I have one. They're pretty cool, but they are very technical to set up. So if you are not a very technical person and you don't have somebody that can help you set that up outside of the Mylio infrastructure, you might not want to do this. In that case, a RAID would be a better option for your local storage. Now, when we talk about offsite, you want to have that 1 copy offsite. That's your disaster recovery. So the easiest things to do with that these days are going to be the cloud. Now, I know a lot of Mylio users are cloud averse, and that's okay. You don't have to use the cloud. but it is an option if you're comfortable with that and you want to do that. One of the things that I love about Mylio is it lets you encrypt what you're uploading to the cloud. So all of those things that you put into the cloud cannot be read by whatever company you're using for hosting your storage. The only way to read that data is if you're using the Mylio Photos application on a device you control that you're logged into with your account. You can't go into that. If it's encrypted, you can't go into that site and see what's there. So it's another layer of protection to make sure stuff stays private, but you get the benefit of using that offsite cloud storage. So some of the options we have here, coming very, very soon, we're going to have Mylio Drive Plus. That's going to be an additional subscription add-on that you can go ahead and consider purchasing. We hope to introduce that by the end of the month. You also have the option to use S3 cloud storage. That's going to be anything like Backblaze B2, Amazon AWS, Wasabi, I believe iDrive E2, and there's many, many other S3 protocol services that are out there and available. You also have things for smaller libraries that are really easy to set up, like Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. So those are some great cloud options you can use with Mylio. And like I said, Mylio Drive Plus, that's coming soon. This is going to be pretty cool. Now, I do want to say that if you already have S3 cloud storage set up somewhere else and you're happy with the cloud storage you have, you do not need to do this. Or if you don't want to use the cloud at all, again, this is completely optional. You don't have to do it. Now, some other off-site options are going to be to use an off-site NAS. Again, this takes that technical setup. And this would be if you have, your home workspace and an office workspace and you keep that NAS at another location. So keeping something off-site. You can also do this with an external hard drive with an HDD or an SSD and keep them in an off-site location. So I know some people who have maybe an outbuilding on their property that they keep these in, or a travel trailer that's parked a good distance away from their home. Perhaps they have an office that they work in. They can go ahead and stick that drive in a drawer. That's another way to do it. You just want to make sure that you keep those incrementally updated and that you don't let them sit for too long. So SSDs are going to be a little bit more durable in that respect. Traditional hard drives do need to be spun up frequently. You don't want to leave them sitting for great lengths of time. I would make sure you're doing this at least once a month, if not more often, but that is also another way to get offsite protection with your Mylio Photos vaults. So adding a vault is super, super simple. I'm going to go ahead and jump over here to Mylio and show you where you can go to add a vault and some of the information that's in the app that can help guide you along the way. So what I'm going to do is go to my dashboard here in the left sidebar. And let me just close these up here so we can start back from the beginning. I'm going to click on Devices. And then up here at the very top, there's a button here for dedicated Add a Vault. Once we go into this, it's going to give you a little description of what that is. We'll hit Continue. And this tells you approximately what size of a drive that you need. So here's my current library size, and it's suggesting I get an 8 terabyte vault. Now you don't have to get an 8 terabyte vault. I could probably suffice for a while with a 4 terabyte. The reason we give you this number here is to give you room to grow, because our libraries are continually growing. We're always creating more content, and we want to make sure you don't have to, very soon go out and buy yet another drive. So this is a suggestion. Just kind of keep a note here of your current library size, especially if you're wanting to use the cloud. So knowing that you can get cloud storage in this amount or more is going to be very important. So here I'm going to go ahead and hit Continue, and you can choose external drive or cloud service. When Mylio Drive Plus is introduced, there will also be an option here for Mylio Drive Plus. Right now I'm going to go ahead and click on external drive. And I don't have a drive connected right now that is capable of being another vault for my device. So I'm going to say I need a hard drive. What this does is it launches your browser and it takes you to a page on the Mylio website that's going to suggest some drives that could be very useful to you. You don't have to buy them through us. These are just suggestions to help you get started if you're not sure where to look. I often buy my drives from Amazon or from Costco. Best Buy is a good one if you still have a Best Buy in your area. But these links here give you some ideas of what to look for and the capacities that they go to. So for instance, the Seagate One Touch goes up to 20 terabytes. So it's a great option, especially if you have a larger library. So that's it. You're going to go walk through this wizard here, and that's going to teach you how to add a protection vault. And you can do the same thing if you want to add a cloud service. So you go ahead and click on there. You can choose which type of cloud service you want to add, and then you can go ahead and move forward with that. So adding a vault is very, very simple. Let me go ahead and jump back over here to the presentation and talk a little bit about if you have a system backup. So if you already have one, maybe two vaults in your library, and you keep getting these little banners flashing up, typically it's only gonna be if you have one vault, saying you still need to protect your stuff, because Mylio is gonna say, if you already have one vault, you're still not protected because that's just your stuff in one place. We want you to have two. If you're using some other kind of system backup, meaning you're using Time Machine on your Mac, or you're using Backblaze's full system backup, you can go ahead and turn that off, and that's going to be here on your dashboard. So let me go ahead and show you where to find that. I'm going to go back in here to Mylio and close out of these windows real quick. And here under devices, what I'm going to do is scroll down to one of my vaults. And if I click into device sync policies, down here at the bottom, there's a little check mark that says this device is backed up regularly. This tells Mylio, hey, stop showing me these nagging warnings because I already have my stuff backed up elsewhere. So that could be you're cloning your drives to another drive outside of Mylio. That could be Backblaze, that could be Time Machine. There's lots of different ways you can do backups outside of Mylio. This will stop the warnings inside of Mylio from telling you you need yet another vault. So I just wanted to point that out and make sure you guys understand that this is an option if you're using some sort of other external backup. So with that, I just want to kind of come back here to our key takeaways, that losing data is way more frequent than you might expect, and that using a 3-2-1 backup, meaning 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different kinds of devices with one offsite, can back up and can protect you against nearly all foreseeable losses.